What's up, everyone? Friedemann Findeisen here from Holistic Songwriting. Welcome to this analysis of one of my tracks, Money. I wrote the song for my wife, Jobasa, or Joanna as she's really called, and I kind of want to start this by briefly talking about why it's been so long since we released another song together. So the last song that we released together was Hate Her, which I also talked about on this channel. Back then, we didn't get the kind of feedback that we were hoping for. We still got like 2/3 positive likes, but like 1/3 was negative, and we got a lot of very mean comments. And by mean comments, I mean like mean comments. Something that we didn't really expect. I think it is a simple pop song. That was the intention behind it, and I still like the song, so I'm not gonna excuse myself for that song. You know, I still think it's a fine song. It's maybe not the most amazing song ever written, I'll agree with that, but it's certainly not dog shit, as someone pointed out so lovingly in the comments. I must say that when we talked about Hate Her, some people maybe took that title a little too literally, and it really hurt me. It was a really horrible experience for me, for two reasons. First of all, because it was the first thing I'd ever released on Holistic Songwriting. Maybe it wasn't the right song to do that, granted, okay. But what's worse is that it was the first song that Joanna had released in a while, and she doesn't have the same support from amazing fans like you guys. And so it was hurtful to me to see so many negative comments on her YouTube video. And so eventually we just disabled, or her label disabled, the comment section, which is a shame because there were some really kind comments as well. And thanks to all of you who saw some good in the song as well. But it was really painful to see, because Holistic Songwriting at this point had really turned into something that I can make a living off of, and I'm super proud to be a part of, and of this whole community. So I'm super glad to be able to talk to people like you out there. But Joanna didn't have that yet, and I wanted to create a song, or wanted to help her out, and wanted her to have that experience as well, and that didn't work. And that was not just sad, because it could have just been a dud, but people really tore the song apart. Some people did, at least. And that was very painful. And Joanna took it like a champ, because she's very strong. She really took it like a champ, and she didn't cry or anything. She really took it extremely well. But nonetheless, it wasn't easy. It wasn't the success that we had hoped for, especially because behind the scenes there was so much going on, and it was such a struggle to release that song. It had been a year at that point already since we had written the song together, and maybe there is something to that idea that within that year it had lost some of its original flavor that it had. I recently listened back to the very first song that the very first version of it that we'd written together, and I like that version a lot better, actually. Even though it wasn't produced as well, it had just some kind of magic that the final song didn't have. And so we talked about it, obviously, and we said, so what can we do better for our next couple of songs? Because originally it was intended to release a bunch more songs right after Hate Her. And after we got so much negative feedback, or so many hateful comments, I should probably rather say, we went back and said, okay, let's redo those songs. The songs are good, but they don't sound good enough yet. It's one of the songs that, even though we wrote on it for such a long time, retained the fun that we put into it in the first place. I feel like with Hate Her we lost that a little bit. Like, I remember like when we got back some of the mixes from the mixing engineer, I remember myself saying something like, I don't even know anymore. I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Let's just go with it. It's fine. And that's usually not a good sign that everything is going well. So we didn't have that with this song. When we did have that situation, actually, a couple of times with the other mixing engineers and other mastering engineers, where it came back and we thought, I guess it's fine. It's okay. I mean, it's better than before. It's the best version we have so far, but it's still not good enough, I think. But I mean, I listened to the song so many times at that point that I really couldn't tell anymore. It was just so difficult because it was nuances. Like, you know, the highs are a little bit more or the lows are a little bit less or whatever. At that point, you really can't tell anymore whether your song is good or not. But what we did end up doing was we said, let's just trust our gut. If we don't think it's ready, it's not ready. And so we went back. We told the mixing engineer, no, sorry, it's just not a good fit for us. We're just looking for something else. And that was painful because we had to pay him, obviously. He had been working on the song, on the mix for quite a while. But we went back to it. We found another mixing engineer, and this is where Vincent comes in. And we had a really great time with him. But now, without any further ado, here's Money, or my version of it at least. Let's go check it out. All right, everyone. So here's the session. We got quite a bunch of tracks. It's 54, not including all the vocals which have been bounced down to this master stem here, I guess. So we have a bunch of different sections. We got the synths, we got some drums in yellow here, we got some more vocals in green, and then down here we have some sound effects. For the full song, please check out the link below in the description. This is really just a breakdown of the session here, okay? So first of all, let's start maybe with this sound here. Now it consists of two different sounds. That's this one here and this one. Together. Okay, so the massive one adds a little bit of bottom to it. So that's this one. To that we add a bass from Absinthe, which just brings in a little bit of warmth. And some more basses from Nexus and an 808. Just for some added fatness. Although this is something we went over quite a couple of times, and in the newest version, as you will hear, we have a different synth there now. Then we have this sound here for the pre-chorus. Then we have the main melody, which got added on pretty late. Yeah, so this is what it sounds like. It consists of two different synths from Nexus. And that's one sound. Together. So that is the intro melody. Then we have the drums starting with the kick down here, even though the kick isn't really as important here as in other songs because the bass riff already takes care of much of the punch, as you will hear if I turn it off. Like the kick drum, I mean it's there, but it's not as important as in other songs. So that's that. Together with snaps. Right, so this is for the verses. A little bit groovier, a little bit snappier, shorter. Then we got the percussion here. We got some toms. This mostly just doubles the percussion below. We got some percussion here. It's a really cool sound, by the way. We got some snare rolls. This got simplified a lot in the final version, which was very necessary. We have a clap here in the pre-chorus. We got some hi-hats over here, which was really just done, if we zoom in a little bit closer. Like these triplets, super simple really, you just pull it somewhere, you press L, you determine how long you want it to be, and then you decide how many of those you want to fit in, right? That's the easiest way to do it for those kind of triplet hi-hats. And as you'll see, none of these are really triplets. Like this is a septuplet, so this is like 7 notes in 2 beats. But I don't really care about that. I just want the speed to feel right. So I just demo it a couple of times, listen to it until I feel that there's enough notes in there. So then we have this here. This is an instrument that I'm actually fairly proud of. I don't think it made it into the final version, but still it was kind of a major part of the initial songwriting. So that's this sound here.
I just want your money. Got a million good ideas and how to spend it.
So this here is actually consisting of two instruments. We got this one and then this one, and this is kind of this one was kind of fun to make. See all these different plugins on here, these different inserts. I'm just going to turn all these off for now. I can actually take this one off for good. But so here's what it sounded like before I did anything to it. Pretty cool, right? Not what you'd expect, probably. So I started off with some filtering. So some pretty rough filtering there. Some bit crusher. Auto filter. And then here's the most important ingredient. A tremolo. So now it's just this super rhythmical percussion thing. Then I added another auto filter as such. An enveloper, just to add a little bit more attack to it. Decapitator, to add some grunge to it. Filter freak, and a chorus. And that was the final sound, which didn't make it into the final thing, but still, I kind of like that sound. I thought it's fun writing stuff to that because it immediately makes the whole track kind of sexy, and these short notes work really well, I feel. Like, listen to that. Compare that to this without it. I mean, clearly this would have needed a hi-hat, but to me it's just a cooler form of a hi-hat because this was actually played by someone. Like, this is a real drum loop. This was a real drummer playing this. We just messed with it so much that you can't recognize it anymore. And that's kind of something I like doing a lot. If you're one of my patrons, I guess, you may have seen me do something similar on a recent live stream where I was writing some songs. We used rain as white noise for some build-ups and stuff like that. So we filtered out rain. I like doing that kind of thing because it makes songs sound more organic, and that's something I always seek out in my productions, is to not go for the obvious choice, and it always sounds more interesting to me than just pure white noise. So that's something I kind of did here as well. Then we have these roomy snare rolls over here. Right, with a little bit of Valhalla room on there. We got the bridge over here. I think that's just the vocals, is it? Right, so that's just the vocals. I don't know what that's doing up here. That should be down here with the other vocals. Then we have some more synths for the chorus. Was this the one that I made on my Juno? Yeah, so this is on the Juno. This, I think, might be my Moog. I'm not sure. And this here would be Avenger, the good one. Then we got the vocals here, and a stack of vocals, which are just some backing vocals, fattening up the chorus. Then we got the vocals for the bridge and some doubles for the last chorus, just to increase the intensity there. And then we have a whole bunch of special effects down here. Just to add a little bit of excitement. Stuff like that. See? So. Oh, and then, you know, something that I kind of really liked in this version was the... Where is that? The organ that we used on some of the... I actually really like that sound. It was too dirty to use in the final song, but I actually still kind of like it. Listen to this. This was the second half of the second chorus in the original version. This just kind of took a little bit too much space for the final thing, but also the last chorus was really kind of different if you listen to this. that was our ending for a really long time. Really bad. But anyways, that's pretty much the song already. There's not much to show here, really. It's pretty straightforward. A couple of doubles for all the different synths up here. The one thing that we struggled most with was really the choice of synth for that pluck sound in the verses. And then also with the chorus, you might have noticed that this was very different at first. And for the longest time, it really just sounded like this in the chorus. So it was just basically the same kind of melody as in the verses, just, you know, with a couple more doubles. And pretty much at the last minute, we changed that. It was actually a really funny story because Vincent came in, the producer we had on this, and we had met each other basically through my book, The Addiction Formula. And he said something like, you know, if we're following the addiction formula, this here has to be bigger in terms of the energy, and then it has to go back down here. And what we have right now is kind of low energy, and then we build up some energy in the pre-chorus, and then it goes down to low energy, and then the second verse is low energy again. So this here is the critical part. It's fine if we have a build-up and then it goes down, but then here we have to have a change in energy. And that was funny to hear because, I mean, I had written the book and he was completely right, of course, and so we had to change it. And so we went for a deeper bass, something that hits in even harder. And that's actually something I wanted right from the start with this song. I just wanted the chorus to hit really hard, and I wanted people to really feel it in their gut when that bass hits in the chorus. But I always wanted to achieve it just with that same riff. And eventually, we just changed it to a completely different riff, something with a kind of a glide bass. And I think it worked much better, and it feels much heavier. It feels much more, it's got more of that oomph that I really wanted for this track. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. A couple of other things changed. As you will hear in the final version, the last chorus sounds really quite different. Vincent had some great ideas for the bridge, which I was always kind of unsure about, and he had this really nice idea of adding a vocoder to it. So this is what it sounded like for the longest time. So not really cool. He doubled that arpeggiator, which would be this one. He doubled that with a second arpeggiator. He brought in some vocoder for the main vocals, pulled down those backing vocals here, which I think are kind of cool, because these are actual vocals that Joanna sang. We just cut them up. But still, I mean, he had to make some choices. There was a lot of stuff in this song, and so he had to make some clear choices as to what to cut out. And I'm really happy with the choices that he did make eventually. So that was the track until, you know, a couple of months ago. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please consider becoming a patron on patreon.com, because that's where every week I do a live stream where I give critiques and feedback to your songs, where I answer your questions. And every once in a while, I do a live stream of me writing some music. Music such as this, or maybe rock music, or metal music, or orchestral music, or background music for some of my videos. Everything you will find on there. Please do check it out. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Stay gefährlich.